Coming up on Currently, we're covering Sugarloaf updates, plus downtown projects and Boardman Lake developments. That's all ahead on Currently. Welcome to Currently, where we discuss some of the top local stories directly from the journalists who are covering them. I'm your host, Christal Frost, and this podcast was recorded on Monday, November 23rd. The Lions are 7-4 after defeating the Giants in a crazy, tense, weird game on Sunday. Now, this podcast was recorded before the Thanksgiving game, and we're all here crossing our fingers and hoping things go our way. Support for Currently comes from West Shore Bank. When you choose West Shore Bank, you're not just choosing a bank. You are choosing a partner that is committed to the well-being of our community. And you can visit them today on 8th Street or at westshorebank.com. Support also comes from Old Town Playhouse, where community comes together in downtown Traverse City. You can find out all about the upcoming shows, including Roald Dahl's Matilda, the musical, with performances starting on December 5th on the Old Town Playhouse main stage. Support also comes from the Coin Slot Arcade Bar in Traverse City, a chill hangout boasting a variety of beer, live music, and pinball. And I'm going there after this. We're very excited to welcome back a legendary reporter for Traverse City Business News, Traverse City Ticker, Leelanau Ticker, all-around nice guy, the great Art Bukowski.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me back.
And, of course, as always, joining me, my right hand, and I still can't believe that she hangs out with me. Beth Milligan, head writer for TC Ticker.
I love hanging out with you.
Well, thank you. I love hanging out with you. I would like to clear the air for a moment here before we get started. And for the past 40 years, I have been mispronouncing your name.
What?
I have been calling you something other than Art Bukowski.
Yeah, you've been calling me Bukowski. But
Bukowski.
Bukowski, potato.
For 40 years, I've been calling you the wrong name.
Can't have been that long.
It can't have been that long. It seems like it.
A young Arthur Bukowski.
Yeah.
I was just like, hanging out with you when you were, what, 2, 3?
Yeah,
calling
2, 3,
you
4.
the wrong name. So it is Art Bukowski.
Yes.
All right. Thank you for correcting me.
Oh, that's all right, Crystal. You know I love you.
I know. You must love me a lot, because otherwise, most people would say, why are you saying my name wrong? It's so great to have you back, and especially ahead of Thanksgiving. We are doing this on a Monday because we're all going to take some well-deserved vacation time. But we're going to kick things off with an update that you wrote for the Leelanau Ticker all about Sugarloaf, the site plan, and the opening. I mean, they're really doing this, huh?
Yeah. Well, they have a lot of steps to happen before you open up a property like that. But right now, the Leelanau Conservancy, I guess to back up a little bit, I'm sure a lot of people know about Sugarloaf, just a tremendous and extremely valuable property, emotionally, psychologically, culturally in Leelanau County. It was a ski resort for many years, and then it closed right around the turn of the century. For a long time there, I'd say a good 10 years, there was reasonable hope that it would reopen, and then it just slowly kind of deteriorated, and that kind of kind of disappeared. And everybody, I think, really was worried or concerned that it was just going to turn into homes up there, some sort of development, something. There was a lot of infighting with the various owners. But anyways, long story short, back in July, Leelanau Conservancy announced that they were going to acquire it, and it was just, an explosion of pure joy, as I put in the story. People just simply couldn't believe it. And as it turns out, the owners, who have not been publicly disclosed, it's an LLC, the current owners are giving it to the Leelanau Conservancy as long as the Leelanau Conservancy, contingent upon the Leelanau Conservancy raising $8 million for a site plan to turn it into a public recreation area. That was a little confusing for some people. They weren't raising $8 million to buy the property. The property's worth much more than that, but the current owners are gifting it to the Leelanau Conservancy contingent upon that $8 million being raised, which it was raised.
Ooh.
And I should pause right there, because the thing that I think has almost been lost in all this, and I worked for the Grand Traverse Regional Land Conservancy for 7 years in between my reporting stints, so I know a little bit about this stuff. This property being gifted to the Conservancy is absolutely bat crazy. Pardon my French. It's just, it almost should be a
we've
whole.
Had on Currently,
it almost should have been a whole thing in and of itself. And Tom Nelson, I got him in there, the executive director of the Leelanau Conservancy. I got a comment from him about that in the story, about how he was assuming that they would have to do, what's known as a bargain sale. Will people give it to you a discount, et cetera? But when they said, no, we're going to give it to you, that's wild. But getting us back to where we are now. They've raised the $8 million. Now they need to go in front of Cleveland Township to present a site plan. So anytime you're going to do anything like that, you want to have, a viewing area at the top, you want to do trails, you want to do a parking area, all this kind of stuff. You have to go through the site planning process. And the way the deal was worked out with the current owner or owners, I'm gathering, I think it's a group of people, a small group of people. But the way the deal was is that once you have all of that, the money raised and the site plans approved, we will transfer the property to you. Why is that important? Because obviously the Conservancy can't start doing any work on the property until they actually own it. So right now you need to go through the process with Cleveland Township. It should take a couple of months. And then once they get the property, sometime in the early spring, they can start the work of opening Sugarloaf. And as you see in the story, what they say is there's a lot of stuff. It's going to take several years. But what we really want to do is get people a very clear and safe and well-signed way to the summit. And we want to have a parking area. So essentially, once we get those two things in place, we're comfortable opening it up. But people should realize it's going to be kind of a construction zone for the next several years because we're doing a lot of other things. But we know that people want to get out there. We know there's a lot of excitement. So very exciting news over there at Sugarloaf. And
wow.
Yeah.
I have to say, Beth, I know you were in the room when this was announced.
Yeah.
And you are now on the board for the Leelanau Conservancy.
I'm not on the board of directors. I'm on the Leelanau Collective, which is the young professionals,
cool kids.
The division of the Leelanau Conservancy. I'm also on the communications and outreach committee for the board. So we knew about it in advance because some of the committee members were working in tandem with the board of directors on what the messaging and communications would be. I don't write about the Leelanau Conservancy, so that's where I like to volunteer. Because I don't have a conflict there, but I did know about it, and it was a tricky and exciting time. I think we mentioned on the show before we had a code word for it. It was called French toast.
French toast.
So that in case we were talking about it in the offices or something, someone wouldn't overhear it and know what it was about because it was a very sensitive deal. But it was very exciting. And to Art's point, it was true. There was a donor event, a thank you event this summer for the Conservancy, and that's when it was announced. And the reaction in the room, which I recorded on my phone, and I have listened to since when I need to feel better about the world, because there's so many bad updates in the world, including about the environment, sadly. But this was one where people were just truly thrilled and ecstatic. To Art's point, there are so many people who grew up skiing there, going there with their families, working there.
Yep.
It was such a hugely important property to the community. It was one of the biggest employers in the region at one time. So I think the idea that this owner, to Art's point, chose to give it to the Conservancy when it could be developed for tens of millions of dollars. I mean, the real estate value of that property is insane. And to make it something that everyone in the community can now enjoy in perpetuity instead of just being a bunch of private mansions on a hill is really incredible.
Yeah.
Can I listen to that at some point?
Yes, I will. I've played it. It's really inspirational because, Tom Nelson, the executive director of the Conservancy, did a really good job in his speech of teasing it out. People didn't know when they were coming to the event that there was going to be this announcement being made. Yeah. And so he was talking about all these wonderful properties that the Conservancy has protected over the decades and then said, but we've never really had a chance to protect a mountain before. And you could tell, the little whispers went through the crowd of people starting to be like, what is it? Could it be? And then when he said the word Sugarloaf, people literally in front of me leapt out of their seats and were applauding and so excited.
There was fainting.
I'm getting chills thinking about it. I mean, if you've ever been, we've all been in those rooms before where you just have this unbridled joy.
Yeah.
And it is so it'll bring tears to your eyes.
In the comment section, the comment section is if you want to lose faith in humanity, you go to the comment section of any news story these days. But that comment section was just jubilation.
Yeah,
it was.
It made you regain some faith in humanity, right?
And I should also stress too, getting back to the bat crazy. That's 2 swears. Is that this donor could have even sold it to the Conservancy, which would have been admirable, even just to sell it. Yeah. But to give it is just wild. I would love one day, selfishly, we probably never will, find out who they are just to do a story about that, Well,
that's the other aspect, too, is that that's not someone who demanded that their name be on the hill or get the community respect other than just knowing people are excited but has not taken the credit for
that's
it.
Such a cool thing.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
That's wild. If you think about that, It's crazy.
That
It
is
really
wonderful.
Well, I think the last thing just to mention, because people are so excited about it, Art was mentioning this process that has to go through. And I've been, in conservancy meetings, like people, just talking about the behind the scenes of what it's going to take. The first thing is trying to get a parking area, getting a way to get up to the summit with signage. So those are some of the first things they want to get done. And then over the next several years, there'll be things like bike trails and restrooms and other things. But just know that it's not open to the public yet. We've had many, many years of people trespassing on the property because they love it. But it is in this sort of sensitive transition stage. So I think we're just asking people not to access it. But the goal is ideally getting through this approval process, and then later in the spring, early summer, hopefully around that time.
You'll be able to access it then.
Yes,
and the goal is June, July of next year. Somewhere I guess I'm assuming people read the story, but the goal is June, July to have, once they get the access to the summit well signed off and good parking, right in that zone.
Fantastic. Love it. That's just fantastic. We're going to talk a little bit more about some developments, Boardman Lake developments, plus some downtown projects with Beth Milligan. But first, a word for Pancake Boy Productions. And if you've been thinking about starting a podcast, maybe to share your expertise, to tell your story, connect with your audience in a new way, the holiday season is the perfect time to make it happen. And Pancake Boy Productions is here to help. From concept to recording to editing and distribution, Pancake Boy Productions handles literally everything. They'll help you shape your idea, create a format that works, and make sure that your podcast sounds polished and professional, like a gift you actually want to open. And the best part, they make it easy. You don't need equipment. You don't need a technical know-how. You just show up and talk. Pancake Boy Productions takes care of the rest for you, so you can stay focused on the busy season ahead. So if a podcast is on your wish list this year for your business, your nonprofit, or hey, just yourself, visit pancakeboy.biz. That's pancakeboy.biz. And welcome back. Beth, let's get into it with these Boardman Lake developments.
Yeah. This is a story that ran this past weekend in the Ticker. We have so many development projects underway in Traverse City that every now and then I try to do just an update on where some of those are at, particularly ones that have housing, because that's very in demand and people are always curious when more apartments are going to be coming online in the city. And both of these happen to be pretty high profile mixed-use developments around the Boardman Lake area. So the first one we talked about is the Mill District.
Yeah.
There was a groundbreaking for this project on Thursday last week. And this is going to be it's sort of near the intersection of Woodmere and Carver, right on the lake. So Tim Pulliam, who's with Keen Technical Solutions, he and his partners are building 4 new buildings on that property, 1 commercial building, 3 residential buildings. The groundbreaking on Thursday was for the commercial building, which is the first that's going to be built. And this is going to be the headquarters of Brick Wheels, which will be moving from its long-term home on 8th Street over to this Mill District area. So it'll be a nice thing for them is they'll be right on the Boardman Lake Loop Trail, so they can do bike rentals, have access to the trail right there. And there's also going to be a new coffee shop and restaurant in that building. I did talk to Tim Pulliam. He said they cannot announce who those tenants are quite yet. He did say that the restaurant group has been selected, and he said he's really excited about the concept. It's going to fit the vision of what they're doing there. And that vision is really about kind of serving as a community hub on Boardman Lake using the Loop Trail. So he's previously described it as an adventure hub where you can kind of from sunrise to sunset, you can have your coffee in the morning, you can bike around the lake, come have dinner in the evening. There's improvements that will enhance the public access to the lake through that neighborhood. The initial commercial project is targeted to open in spring of 2027. And with the restaurant getting open by that summer. And then the other buildings will follow with the likely market rate apartments. There will be a few residential units in the first building. The public is also going to see some improvements as part of that project. So there's new trail that will connect from Carver Street to the Loop, some sidewalk along Carver, and the paving of Sheffer Street. So there's some partnerships
That'll
with
be
the
really
city.
good. Yeah.
So kind of just a revitalization. If you think about that area kind of near down by like Square Deal Country Store in there, you've got the library and stuff, which is a little more active with filling station. The businesses are on there. And then, as you move south on the lake, you kind of, it transitions to eventually Medallia at the end. You have a lot of residential there, but not necessarily these kind of businesses where you can, I think the goal is hopefully eventually when people are biking around the lake, there's places to stop all along the way where you can kind of enjoy something like a cup of coffee or whatever.
Love that. Fun fact about me.
Yes.
I love groundbreaking photographs.
You like the scissors and stuff?
I love anything with the big giant
ribbon.
scissors and ribbon.
But
I especially love groundbreaking. I love to see a whole group of people like awkwardly wearing these hard hats and having the shovels.
I'm looking at it right now. I know you're talking about. We had a picture of this in this story, and I can see Mayor Amy Shamrow and Tim and some of the folks all with the shovels and the hard hats,
and they're always golden shovels or something like that. I don't know. There's something just so so absolutely sweet about it.
It's like a little optimism to it.
It is.
Yeah. We did ribbon cutting photos at the DDA, and I did those and had just a ton of fun doing it. We had the ribbon, the whole thing, the scissors.
With the giant scissors. Oh my gosh. There is just something so hopeful and lovely about it.
Yeah.
So, just a little fun fact about me. If you ever want to make me happy, show me a groundbreaking photo.
A lot of times the hard hats are too high on the head. They're unnaturally. They're just like, what is this balancing on the head?
You can't use these scissors for anything else in life. They're just a giant piece.
People are just like running with the giant scissors. It's like a big no-no. Love it. So we're going to talk also about, in the story as well, was some up-to-date information about the TCAPS admin building. This is not too far from the Mill District.
No, so it's about, if you're going 5 minutes north on Woodmere, you're going to hit this project around the corner on Webster Street. This is another very high-profile one. The school district sold its administration building.
Beautiful building.
Yeah, they reached a deal late in 2023. Ken Richmond and Eric Gersner, who had come forward with kind of a late proposal, but they were really driven by the fact of the neighborhood wanting to save this building, this historic building. Yeah, big, beautiful brick building. But, old buildings, as we've seen with Central Grade and others, have a lot of challenges.
Yep.
And so they were really kind of spearheading the effort to preserve it rather than demolish it. So they were successful in that bid. Cunningham Limp is the firm that's overseeing the construction right now, which if you've driven by that area, you've probably seen at times them sort of ripping all the guts out of that building, smoke billowing out of the admin building.
Just like
there.
really old desks. I saw some of those going out, and I was wondering what when were there desks in there?
So they've been making a lot of progress. I talked to Ken Richmond this past week for this story. They are, the trickiest part was the ground floor, which is going to be a little bit subgrade, is going to be 12 workforce apartments. So they have brownfield funding for that. So those will actually be income restricted apartments to people earning 60 to 100% of the area median income, which is kind of like a workforce housing range.
Yeah, wow.
They're taking a lot of steps, even though those units are going to be a little bit lower, to make sure like they have tall ceilings and windows at chest height so they can still get natural light. They're not going to be like completely basement units. They're trying to make them nice.
We call them garden units.
Yes.
Garden
units is the phrase.
Yes.
I have heard that 100%. Phrase with this development. Yes. So 12 garden units. And then the middle floor, so you're going to have like a lobby near ground level. You go up a little bit, and then the middle floor will be Ford Insurance has purchased that middle floor.
Oh,
wow.
So that'll be commercial office space, and MSU Extension, which has to move out of its county building, what the city actually owns over on West Front Street. They are going to be moving in as a co-tenant on that building.
Oh, wow.
And then the top floor is 4 market rate condominiums, 3 of which have already sold.
Wow.
So the entire building is kind of structured as a condo association with these different owners of the different floors. And they are hoping to get the tenants in this coming spring.
Wow.
So the last part of the project they'll be finished was those garden apartments. They're hoping to start interviewing tenants in the spring to occupy next summer, but Ford and the others could be moving in this coming spring. And it was interesting to talk to Ken just about what it's like, because I think TCAPS knew when it was selling this building that although that big iconic brick exterior is beloved in the neighborhood, it was going to be a challenging building with its age to redevelop. And Ken did say that. I mean, when they were doing the apartments, they had to do some excavation in the basement that really challenged the foundation. So they had to address that, but they got through that. He said they're feeling good now. I thought it was interesting for people who have a love of old historic buildings. He said, they have these spectacular materials that were used. Like that's why it's lasted a century.
Right.
It's built well and it was built to last. So he said you're getting kind of more building for the dollar than with a new building. And so they preserved a lot of those materials. I think when it opens in the spring, we're going to see some changes to the outside that will finally make it look a little different. There's going to be balconies for the units up at top.
Ooh.
But they're supposed to he described them like the staircases at Building 50. They're trying to design them in a way that they look a little bit old-fashioned.
Yeah.
They blend in with the building. And then I think, kind of a nice final touch is that they hoped to open the building first to some of those neighborhood residents to tour before the tenants move in, just as a sort of thank you for the preservation.
I love it. I'd live there.
I mean, it's right across from the governmental center.
A fun fact about me is that Eric Gerstner, who's one of the two guys on that project, is perhaps best known for redoing my bathroom.
Really?
So that's where before all this.
Did you get a balcony in your bathroom?
I did not. There's no garden unit in my bathroom.
The Bukowski abode is one of his iconic
right on the resume.
projects.
When he put it to the city, he listed all his previous projects. It was right there.
That is a wonderful fun fact.
Bukowski
Also,
upstairs
can we
bathroom.
start talking about having balconies and bathrooms?
Yeah.
That sounds like a really good idea.
Beth, maybe I missed this in my ticker, but what's going on with that west front building where the MSU extension is now?
So that building is owned by the city of Traverse City, and the Traverse City Fire Department is going to be expanding into it.
They need the rest of it.
They do. So the Commission on Aging has already moved, and the others are going to be moving as well, and then the fire department will expand.
We don't have time for this, but why are they expanding?
Because the fire department is growing, and it's becoming the primary ambulance provider for the city of Traverse City.
Yeah.
And
is
they
there
are
anything else you'd
cramped
like to
in
know
there.
from the ticker that you write for?
No. Maybe
They're
next
pretty
week.
cramped
How about
in
this?
there
You
too.
can find more information about that and other ticker news at traverseticker.com.
Love that.
Including
Ooh, I
the whole
like that
history of
plug.
the fire department expansion
I
that
prefer
Art
to
should
say-
know
I
about.
prefer to say fire department. Like
Department.
You gotta say
I
it's
prefer
the
to
fire
say
department.
local 646, yo.
Yeah,
There you
nice.
go. I
The
like
fire
it.
department.
Union shout out.
Yes. Hey, we are going to move into talking about some other news with the DDA and do mine. Is this real?
Yeah, the farmers market.
Do we have a farmers market design?
We
I was going to say
do.
doth my eyes
They've
deceive
only
me, but
been
I
talking
couldn't
about
figure it
that
out.
for a
I know.
long
I mean,
time.
Arthur would know. He used to work for the DDA.
This is your
Very
story today,
contentious.
Monday, November 24th.
Yes. So yes, this came out today as we're recording on Monday. This will be a couple days ago by the time folks hear this. But so we kind of just to briefly summarize, there were three big projects that were kind of moving forward in their next steps after the Friday DDA board meeting. The first of which is the Farmers Market Pavilion. If you go to traverseticker.com, or we might throw up an image with this, but the renderings are out so you can see what it looks like. It's
cool.
It's a permanent structure in the Farmers Market parking lot in Lot B, right along Grandview Parkway there. And it is an open air design. So the sides are open. It has a translucent skylight that runs down the middle of it for a natural light.
That's nice.
Very sturdy materials and beams, because if you think about the wind coming off the bay, the roof has to be strong enough to handle snow loads in the winter. It's built for that. This has been, as Art knows, a long discussed project at the DDA. They had a design back in the 2017-18 timeframe. It kind of got put on the shelf for
old
several
news, baby.
years. This is an updated new design. The board did approve it this past week. This is one of the handful of projects that the DDA is planning to spend the last of the TIF 97 funds on. Probably about a $2.5 million project is the estimate right now. So with the design approved, the next step is they're going to be completing construction drawings. The project's expected to go out to bid this winter. The DDA and city are partnering because the city will also be reconstructing the parking lot and doing stormwater improvements as part of this project.
Which is also very needed because that lot is in rough shape.
Sure. And of course, if you think of the proximity to the Boardman River and all the impervious surface there running off from the parking lot to the river, they're trying to capture that and treat that so we can take better care of the river. So there will be one more vote sometime this winter or early spring from the DDA and city to fund it, but the DDA does already have the funding set aside from it. So it just needs city commission approval to move forward on that one.
All right. Another big thing.
Yes.
The two-way State Street.
Yes.
It's here to stay.
Well, the DDA would like it to stay.
Okay.
The City Commission will have the final say on that. The board did vote on Friday unanimously to support a permanently converting State Street, Pine Street, and Boardman to two-way traffic. They have been studying it for 3 years as a pilot project. Part of the reason that pilot had to go so long was because the Grandview Parkway construction was happening at the same time, so it kind of skewed the traffic data, since so many people were funneling into downtown to get around the parkway.
Yes.
So last year was like the year to kind of have a normal year and try to see how it looked. There was some data provided to the board on Friday, kind of summarizing the project to date. The data did show that the conversion has slowed down traffic. There's more utilization on State Street, which they based on parking revenues going up, more cars parking using that corridor. The number of accidents involving cyclists and pedestrians went down. The majority of businesses now, maybe you wouldn't know this from the comment section, but the majority of business owners, 32 out of 43 on State Street, cited it as being a very positive or positive experience.
So the majority of business owners like it.
Yes.
Okay.
And I will also say there was data in the packet, because I saw some people asking about this in the comments, that the neighborhood also felt like they liked it. And it does not to say that it's unanimous and everyone likes it. Clearly, based on today's comment section, not everybody does. But I think the board felt pretty strongly that the data shows that corridor is safer. It is more accessible now. It's being utilized in a better way, and they would like to make it permanent. The other thing they talked about with making it permanent that I think might address some concerns I saw is there could still be additional improvements as it's made permanent.
Yeah.
A big one being addressing how turning movements work at Cass and Union.
Yes.
So we all kind of
Huge.
know, I have driven on State Street many, many times, including after the show. And if you're turning left off of State Street, it's hard. And you can sometimes, especially if you get cars parked near the intersection, it's hard to get around. It can block traffic there. I think they're aware of that, discussed it. Those intersections could be changed a little bit, potentially pulling parking back for one to give room to maneuver around cars that are changing. So this recommendation will now go to the City Commission, who will have final approval on that.
I'm really surprised to see a decrease in pedestrian and bicycle accidents. I really am. I didn't realize like making it two-way would actually make a difference.
I wonder how much data we're talking about. Did it go from 3 to 2?
Yes,
There's probably not a lot.
Yes, and that's a fair point. I think the other aspect though is sometimes the bike lanes changed, and sometimes if cars are going slower, that's one thing. Even the difference between getting hit by a car at 25 versus 22 miles an hour can be significant. But also when there's two-way traffic, I think that is visually something that pedestrians and cyclists are more aware of than when if you're screaming in the bike lane and everyone's going the same as you.
True.
So it's just like everyone's typically a little more aware and on edge when there's two-way traffic versus one, which can be part of that safety issue.
One thing that I've watched the comment, and I was at the DDA when we made that decision. It's not we, I didn't have anything to do with it, but the point is it seems to be a no-brainer improvement. And the example I always gave people, as somebody who lived downtown, worked on the east side, don't have to go to the west side, Front Street in the summertime basically goes down to one lane because when there's people waiting to turn left on Union or Cass, there's so many pedestrians that they have to essentially sit there in that block. So you would have literally one lane going west through all of downtown. It was insane. As soon as you were able to slide down State Street going west, it was amazing. And I think just from a circulation standpoint, it's done wonders. It is a pinch point turning left, turning either way in front. And Cass and Union for sure that has to be resolved. But I think overall, it's a net improvement. And some of these commenters, I can discern no other hatred for other than just they don't like the change.
They're probably the ones that are trying to turn left or right onto Union or Cass, though.
Well, and also, I mean, I think, this will be part of this discussion for the future if this is approved, is that, this change would make it so that there are 3 lanes going west downtown and one going east.
Interesting.
That does create an imbalance in the network. And progressive companies, a consulting firm that work on this, did recommend at least studying or looking at Front Street. I will say to the people who feel like sometimes the DDA isn't listening to them because they don't like a particular project, I have seen the public input and outreach on this. I don't think that that's a fair assessment. I do think that the DDA is listening, but more data and businesses are supportive of it than not. But they have backed off Front Street because there was such a strong reaction from the merchants on Front Street and the community about not wanting to study Front Street. However, in the future, I think how the network functions overall with the imbalance of East and West lanes may require looking at Front Street, but the board was very careful to say on Friday, we're not pushing that now. We've heard from the merchants, they don't like that. At least the 2 blocks that are the main blocks of Front Street where the shopping happens.
Right.
But that could be something at least studied or looked at in the future.
I'm going to be a hated person for saying this right now, but I've always been in favor of just closing up those 2 blocks to traffic, period.
It's interesting when you see they have done that in other areas of the country and you get mixed results. The thing about Front Street, 2-way, and I don't really fully understand it because it was 2-way up through
I want to say the 60s is when the change
early 70s,
happened.
but the big thing now is deliveries. So a lot of those vendors get their deliveries on Front Street. If it's 2-way, a delivery truck can stop there briefly, unload, and other people can get around it. If it's 1-way, if it's 2-way, that can't happen. Now, obviously, before it switched, they must have received them in the back, but all of them are very vigorous. Most of them vigorously oppose a 2-way Front Street because it'll mess up their deliveries. So that's the big thing.
Oh, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
Look at all this inside information. We've got
but again, we're just talking about state, not Front.
I think we should let the commenters decide for everything from now on.
Well, I saw a lot of people saying there should be a public vote, and I would like to point out that this is in fact why we have elected representatives on the city commission. Almost every major DDA decision, including this one, goes to the city commission. So those are where your elected representatives are. If you're not happy, you can write them letters.
I've seen a lot of that recently where people seem to completely misunderstand the point of representative democracy. You simply can't have a vote on everything.
Right.
There's a reason that this is set
that's
up
why
this
you
way.
have a representative to represent you.
Yes. And then just quickly, Christal, as we wrap up here, the last thing I'll just mention, and folks can learn more at trevorsticker.com, is just Rotary Square, because we talked about it on the show so much, that the board did approve on Friday spending up to $165,000 for the next phase, which is the engineering work.
Nice.
So we know we came to a plan for that park.
We
talked about that earlier this fall. That conceptual design is in the story if people want to check it out, but now is the engineering phase. And the last thing I want to mention with that is that this work is all being funded right now through a grant from Rotary Charities. This is not DDA general fund. This is money that's coming from a grant that was specifically given to Rotary Square for design work.
And we chose the Petoskey stone, right?
That was the name of the design.
See, I remember things. Look at that.
Beth warned people about the storm.
And then also Art would by the time this airs, the storm will...
Oh, never mind.
By the time this airs, you will have already lived through the great storm of Thanksgiving, which is supposed to come on Wednesday.
We hope everyone
had
okay.
We hope everyone survived the storm.
We
So
do.
I'm talking from the future right now.
Yes,
you
Is that
are.
what you're telling me? This is wild.
Back to the future, man.
Oh my goodness.
It's Back to the Future. Do you have like a scientist buddy?
You can go back with
Disgraced nuclear physicist. Yep. I love it. All right, let's get into our holiday plans before we say goodbye. Beth, I understand you're traveling.
Yes. By the time that this airs, I will hopefully be in Saugatuck. I'm leaving early because of this storm that Art has mentioned. We're going down early this week, so we're spending time with my partner's family this week. I do want to plug, because we normally say what we're looking forward to as well, that next Wednesday, December 3rd, there are 2 big events that I highly recommend. One is our Recess of Giving, which is going to be from 5 to 7 at the TC Philharmonic. And this particular recess we do each year, the proceeds go to a local nonprofit. This one, all the proceeds are going to go to TC Phil. You can listen to some live harp music, some great food and drink. It's only $10. That's 5 to 7. And then if you want to pop out a little early and go over to Milligan Auditorium at 7 o'clock, I will be interviewing Kate Baer for the National Writer Series. She's an incredible poet, feminist writer, amazing person. I'm so excited to be interviewing her, and there are still tickets available for that.
Love that. Milligan at the Milligan.
Oh,
that's nice.
Let's
very
do
nice.
that. Let's
Trademarking
make that be a thing. That needs to be a thing for sure.
I think that's fantastic. Well, yes, get your tickets right now to see Beth with Kate Baer. That's going to be great. And Recess at the TC Phil.
Yeah, you can do both in one night.
Love it. Art, what about you? Any big holiday plans?
We're just traveling down first to my parents in the Detroit area, and then we're going up to my wife's family in the Port Huron area. So we'll be downstate for a couple of days there traveling with the kids. That's always fun. So, just that. And
You have made it through the storm by this point.
yes,
by
right.
all
All
the
the
Talking
storms.
from the future.
Yeah.
Talking to, all the storms.
All the storms.
What
Yeah,
about you?
traveling with kids is tough.
Well, we recently decided that it's just okay to have tablets in the car.
You know
Yeah.
what? It's a good decision.
You have all these idealistic things you think as a parent, know this, know that, and then you have to survive ultimately. So you make certain decisions, and we've had tablets in the car over the past year or so, and it's just been
I
delightful.
love it. That's great. Thank you for that. For me, I am really excited to I'm going to be spending Thanksgiving with a couple of different sets of family. My mom, and then spending Thanksgiving with my husband's family, so the Andersons. We're doing the Anderson Thanksgiving.
Talking about J.R.
thing.
Anderson?
J.R. Anderson, that's right.
I thought.
That's my husband. And let's see, we are doing all sorts of things. My kids come over on Saturday, and we do lasagna Thanksgiving because
Okay.
everyone's sick of turkey, so we're doing lasagna.
Sure.
I'm going to do a little shopping in there probably, and at some point, going to do a lot of Wicked.
Okay, sure.
Nice.
Sure.
Wicked amounts of Wicked. You saw it already. Is it
We're
good?
gonna-
I did see it. Yes. Yeah.
She's not
Is it
answering. Is it
satisfying?
good?
I saw the Rotten Tomatoes was iffy, like 69, 70%.
Yeah, I think if you're a fan of Wicked, you're going to want to know. I mean, like a lot of Broadway musicals, it's front loaded in the first half with all the bops, and the second half is more of like, I would say, a coda than like a
Interesting.
standalone act, but it's still a satisfying wrap up to the story.
Good.
Love
Yeah.
it. All right.
Yeah,
well,
we'll be seeing that.
thank you both so much for being with us today. Beth Milligan and Art Bukowski for another informative and entertaining episode of Currently. We're going to be back next week with a special holiday preview from Northern Express editor, that is Jillian Manning. And be sure to subscribe to the show on all platforms at crystalfrost.com. You can follow us on social media. We're like everywhere. Subscribe to Currently with Crystal Frost wherever you get your podcasts as well. If you have a podcast app, that's the easiest. Just like write it in there, boom, subscribe. You can also watch the full show on YouTube and on Facebook, and Currently is a Compass Local podcast. It is produced by Pancake Boy Productions in Traverse City, Michigan. Big thanks to our sponsors, Old Town Playhouse and the Coin Slot, and to our lead supporter, the wonderful West Shore Bank. We'll see you next week.